Welcome to the Fitness Secrets Show, where we talk everything training, nutrition, and mindset to help you get in the best shape of your life. Hey, I'm your host and online fitness coach, Sam, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about alcohol and your fitness journey. We're going to be answering the question, can you still drink alcohol and get in great shape? And we're going to be looking at some of the specific impacts of alcohol on your fitness journey. So let's dive right into it with talking about the difficult thing about alcohol and fitness. The problem is alcohol is a massive part of culture here in Australia. And I know it's a massive part of culture pretty much everywhere around the world too. But if you've ever tried drinking and exercising the next day, you'll know that alcohol and fitness don't really fit that well together. In fact, alcohol is probably one of the worst things for your fitness journey. But I know it is a massive part of the culture everywhere here in Australia. I still enjoy a drink from time to time myself. It doesn't mean that you have to cut out alcohol completely to get in great shape. But in today's video, I want to kind of dive into the more specific details about the actual impact alcohol has on your fitness journey. So let's first talk about the number one problem with alcohol, and that is its caloric density. So alcohol, unlike the other three macronutrients, is processed a little bit differently in the body. Now, one shot of alcohol, so that's 30 mil, and we're talking about the lowest caloric spirit here, which is vodka, right? So a 40% alcohol vodka, one shot or 30 mil of that is going to be 64 calories, okay? It's not a ridiculous amount, but it is quite a bit, okay? Now, if we think about one beer, because I know most of us aren't out there sitting down and sipping or shotting vodka, one beer, if we look at the Great Northern bottle, so the 330 ml bottle, it's the most popular beer here in Australia, that's around 100 calories. Now, 100 calories doesn't sound like much, and it probably isn't that much. But the problem is, when most of us are drinking, we're not going to be having just one beer, okay? Just one beer probably isn't going to make much of a difference here or there. 100 calories either way, it's not that much. But if you're having 3, 4, 5, 6 beers in a night, that's an extra 600 calories to your daily total. Now, if you're only eating 3,000 calories to begin with, or 2,000 calories to begin with, that's nearly a third of your total caloric intake for the day. So you're adding an extra third on top of how many calories you're eating for the day. Now, once a week, maybe this isn't the biggest deal, but if it's 2 times a week, 3 times a week, if you're adding an extra 2,000 calories across the course of the week, that is a lot of extra calories, right? We know that 7,700 calories is 1 kilogram of body fat. So if you're consuming an extra 3,000 calories from alcohol across the course of the week, you're adding nearly an extra half a kilo of body fat per week. Now, that's kind of the first problem when it comes to alcohol, right? Is the total caloric value, okay? It's a lot of extra calories, especially when combined with some of the other things I'm going to talk about. It can be a real issue. Now, the next problem that I see is alcohol doesn't really have any nutritional value. In fact, it has no nutritional value, okay? No vitamins, no fiber, no minerals. It's processed in your body as a poison, right? Alcohol is processed as a poison. Now, a beer might have some carbohydrates in there just from the actual process of making the beer, but the alcohol itself has no nutritional value. Unlike protein, unlike carbs, unlike fats, it doesn't actually play any role in your body's function and repair. In fact, it kind of stops that and it disrupts your metabolism as well. When you drink alcohol, your body prioritizes breaking down and using that alcohol first before it breaks down and uses any of the macronutrients, okay? because your body and your liver is treating it as a toxin, as a poison that shouldn't be in there. Now, as I said, in moderation, it's not really that big a deal. But when you drink, you're also stripping your body of certain minerals and vitamins. Alcohol is incredibly dehydrating. So when you drink, one of the biggest reasons why you get a hangover is because of the dehydration factor, right? As well as stripping your body of other vitamins like the B vitamins, which most often causes those headaches you get if you're hungover. So that's kind of the second problem, is that alcohol is not processed in the body the same as the other macronutrients. So you're trading that high calories for not really any benefit. When we look at nutrition, most of the time we want to be trading off the calories for some kind of benefit from that macronutrient. For example, if you're going to eat 100 calories of protein, you're getting some muscle burning and some help with muscle repair, tissue repair, hair, skin, all those kind of things, which we talked about in the last video. Go and watch that if you haven't seen it already. But you're trading off those calories for some kind of benefit with the protein. Same with carbs, same with fats, right? But with alcohol, you're not getting any of that benefit. In fact, you're kind of getting negative impacts only. There's no real positive metabolic or any other health indicators from drinking alcohol. So that's the second problem that I see, or the second impact that alcohol has on your body and on your fitness journey. Now, the third one is going to be increased appetite and decreased willpower. Now, these two are a pretty deadly combo, especially if you're looking to lose fat. These two don't go well together at all. All right. You may find that when you drink alcohol, your appetite is increased, okay? Where if you would usually only eat a small amount of something, that might be increased when you drink alcohol, right? If you would only eat half a pizza usually, your appetite may go up and you may eat more than that. Now, when you combine this with the reduction in willpower that you get when you drink alcohol, I'm sure you know that when you drink, your impulses are more likely to come through and your willpower is decreased. You combine that increased appetite with that decreased willpower, quite often it means that you're going to go and eat foods that you know aren't necessarily good for you. Now, whether that's having a bowl of chips next to your beer or whatever kind of drink you're having, that's an extra 300-400 calories on top of that as well. So that increased appetite and decreased willpower is a really deadly combination, okay? You may only have 500 calories from the alcohol itself, but if you combine that with the extra food that you eat and the junk and the shit you shouldn't be eating, then most likely you're going to be adding 600-700, nearly up to 1,000 calories in some cases on nights that you're consuming alcohol. So increased appetite and decreased willpower is another serious concern for fitness when we're talking about drinking. One of the last ones I want to talk about is the disruption of sleep too. Now, when you drink, you may find it easier to actually fall asleep, right? That's pretty common for most people. As long as you're not drinking too much where you feel sick and you feel dizzy, it might be easier for you to fall asleep initially, but the problem is it's going to actually disrupt the quality of your sleep overall. Now, this kind of happens in two ways. Number one is when you drink, there's more chance that you're going to get up throughout the night and go to the bathroom, right? So that getting up out of bed, turning the light on, going to the bathroom is a massive disruption to your sleep, as well as the actual decrease in sleep quality while you're asleep. So when you drink, it's actually interrupting those normal brain functions, those normal signals in your brain while you're asleep, decreasing your REM and deep sleep, which means that even if you get the same amount of hours of sleep in total, the sleep quality is actually reduced a fair bit, which is why most often the next day you wake up tired, hungover, and with that decreased willpower the next day too. Now, this is a problem because if you drink the night before and you're hungover and tired the next day, most likely you're not going to exercise. And if you do, the quality of that exercise is not going to be as good. So Sleep is a massive one. Sleep is also involved a lot in repair of cells, repair of muscle, repair of brain, things like that. If you work out hard that day, you really want to make sure you're recovering well that night in order to build the muscle, right? The muscle isn't built in the actual workout itself, it's built in the recovery from the workout. So if your recovery isn't there, you're essentially wasting time in the gym. So disruption of sleep is the last one I'm going to touch on here. Now, there are some other small impacts that alcohol has. They're the kind of main ones I want to touch on here because I think they're the biggest impacts that it has. But let's talk about what you can do to kind of limit the effects. So obviously, not drinking alcohol, if that's the first option and you can do that and you're happy doing that, fantastic. That's great. That's probably number one. But if you are going to enjoy a drink sometimes, that's completely all right. You can still get in amazing shape while drinking. But here are some of the things that you should be doing in order to limit those negative impacts that we talked about. Number one is obvious, but unfortunately, a lot of us don't follow it. It's drinking in moderation. Okay? If you're going to have a drink, stick to moderation. Don't go crazy. Don't go overboard, right? If you're having more than 6, 7, 8 drinks a night, a couple nights a week, we already talked about that's going to have serious damage to your fitness progress. So if you can try and stick to moderation as much as possible, know your limits, know what's appropriate for you. Moderation is number one, the most important thing. Number two is hydration. So making sure you're drinking water, you're drinking electrolytes if possible throughout the night while you're drinking. This is actually going to help with moderation too. If you have one drink and then a glass of water, you're going to be more full. You're going to be less likely to drink more and want to drink more as well. So hydration, even if you have a Gatorade or a Hydrolyte or something like that before bed and the next day too, make sure you're staying hydrated because as we talked about, drinking alcohol actually dehydrates you. So hydration is the second part there. And then the third part is to keep those calories in mind, right? I recommend if you're trying to lose fat that you should be tracking your calories, right? Initially, you need to be tracking your calories, otherwise you're stabbing in the dark. And in doing so, you need to keep the calories from that alcohol in mind, right? If you're going to have 5, 6 drinks the night before, the next day, maybe consider dropping your calories by that day. Yeah, you're going to be a bit more hungry, but when you're losing weight, that's the price you have to pay, right? You have to keep those calories in mind. If you're going to have 600 calories worth of beer the night before, maybe you need to reduce your calories by 600 the next day, okay? I'm not here to give you just kind of up in the air general advice. These are strategies that you can actually use, right? If you're going to drink 600 calories extra the night before, fast, don't eat breakfast, have less 600 calories the next day. Okay, it's all about keeping that balance. It's not perfect, but if you want to lose weight, these are the kind of things that you have to do. Okay, so I'm going to finish it out there. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. If you've enjoyed and you want more, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm posting daily reels and tips at Sam Hardcastle Fit. I'll link it down in the description of wherever you're listening or watching. Again, thanks so much for listening, and I will see you in the next one.